It's really good.
It's the best. It's the real world.
I did have fun when I was interacting with the perpetrator. Very stressful.
You definitely are motivated to be behind cover because you've got stuff whizzing by you.
The just thought of that target shooting back at you is important.
Tactical firearms training on paper targets can now be history. The Officer Under Fire Perpetrator is a moving and shooting range target system. In the range, trainees fire real ammunition into the three-dimensional human target body. The Perpetrator can move in all directions while sighting and firing upon trainees. Live fire scenarios are video recorded from the Perpetrator camera, providing post-training video review. Range scenario training can now include shoot, don't shoot scenarios in the range. The Perpetrator can offensively slice the pie against trainees, such as performing reloads during scenario training. Never before has a range system had such human-like, deadly tactics in the range.
Well, I became a police officer over 12 years. About 2 years on the job, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting on duty. And ever since that point, through that experience, it's really led me to become the best police trainer that I could be. And one of the things that I took note of based upon that experience with my shooting is the way firearms training is conducted. What I really desired was to have firearms training that could be both offensive and defensive at the same time for police officers in the range. That seems to be a shortcoming in our police training in the range, is that we only shoot at paper targets. There's nothing that ever shoots back at us, and that's of tremendous value when you look at the instant correction that our system offers. If your arm is hanging outside of cover, getting instantly corrected by our live training projectiles, as well as the stress-induced training that comes with that.
It gives you the training and the stress level that you really don't get in other ways. And it really makes you realize just how vulnerable you are.
There's no better way to learn than under stress, and this does put stress on you.
It's a good, safe way to teach movement, to teach engagement, and probably the one thing I found out that you can and will get hit.
I mean, it's as close to real as you're gonna get while still being safe.
Stress, stress, stress. Adding stress to the training environment is definitely what makes the Officer Under Fire Perpetrator different. You know, we've been putting officers in front of paper targets for many, many years now, and teaching them how to take a bullet and put it on a particular point of that target. And that's important. Marksmanship skills are important. Guys need to know how to handle their guns and where to put rounds on a target. That's important. I won't take away from that. But equally important is how an officer deals with the stress and the tactics that he uses under that stress is what determines how good his marksmanship skills are. And if we're not giving our officers a stressful environment to train in, then we're just sending them out onto the street with just marksmanship skills. And that's not good enough.
I always felt like when I did my firearms training, it just didn't quite feel like it was authentic. It felt more like I was just target shooting at a paper target, and there was no stress because nothing would ever shoot back at me. I wouldn't get hit back, but having that stress of rounds coming in, forcing me to function in an appropriate manner and not get stressed out, it really elevated my skills and the skills of others that have gone through this system.
the Officer Under Fire Perpetrator has a video recording system inside of it that records an officer's training scenario from the view of the offender. This is super important in a lot of different ways. First and foremost, there's a lot of range officers out there who may be hesitant to want to critique an officer. Maybe they're timid, maybe it's their buddy and they don't want to tell him what he's doing wrong or right as far as his using cover and concealment. Well, with that internal recording system, you know, it takes that blame game away. He can play that video back, show that officer what he did right or wrong in that training scenario, and the officer is convicted by his own actions. He doesn't need someone to tell him what he did wrong, and there's no debating it. You can see from the view of the offender what the officer isn't doing properly as far as utilizing cover and concealment under high stress levels and the mistakes that are made.
It's not like going out under a traditional range where you're just kind of, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm going to try to make my groups tight, I'm going to, you know, make sure I don't do any technical malfunctions. You are sitting there going, I'm going to get shot, I don't want to get shot, I don't want to get shot. You know, that's what's going through your head is, okay, I need to shoot this thing and I need to avoid getting shot.
And acquiring the target, and then going behind cover and then going back out, and the target's not where it was because he moved it. So it's unexpected, and it's a little more real life, and using live fire is probably the most important.
The Officer Under Fire is definitely the best improvement that can be made to a live fire range.
For being a range officer, I know what it's like to have an officer coming off the street who doesn't want to come off the street. You know, he doesn't really want to dirty his gun up because he knows he's going to have to clean it, and you know, just maybe not his day. And what we found with the Officer Under Fire Perpetrator is that, you know, guys are excited. You know, they're pumped after they go through a shooting scenario and there's like rounds coming back at them, you know, rubber rounds that, you know, they got to stink to them, but still, they're excited. They felt like this is something different. This is not what I'm used to. And then there's that look of like, holy cow, this could actually happen to me. You know, like what I do and how I shoot and the tactics I use, that actually matters. And that's something we haven't seen for a long time in a training scenario, you know, and they have fun doing it. And so if you can make a training scenario fun and drive home solid gunfighting principles at the same time, I mean, that's a win for everybody.
For information on training, leases, or purchases, go to www.officerunderfire.com.